think of.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're not recording.
It says it is.
Then we'll kind of step.
Just trying to catch up.
All right, Terry, would you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. I will. Chair Benny Haley,
Here.
Commissioners Joanne Thomas.
Here.
Audrey Stanfield. Here. Jim Schnicken.
Here.
Steve Jackman.
Here.
And city staff Travis Allen.
Here.
And Terry Newman.
All right, thank you. Everyone have an opportunity to read the minutes for the last meeting? Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Pretty good to me.
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. There's no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll go into our discussion items. Travis, take it away.
All right, in
Item
your
A.
packets, I have a letter that has gone out to, this one I believe was going out to emergency dispatch and police. It was to address the medium risk hazard for what our addressing committee has come up for recommendations. Excuse me.
So we got through all the high.
Yes, we do that. We've gone through all the high ones. So we're working on the medium. This is one of about 5 of the medium risks that the street superintendent agrees would be a good change as well. I just sent this letter out to confirm with dispatch that Bronco Way is not too much like Brent Drive or Brower Circle or Broadway Street from our official street name list. That's the closest one.
Okay, so I'm looking at a letter from that was sent to the superintendent. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
that one
All right.
too. I sent this out to a couple of people.
Oh, okay.
Can't
All right.
remember which one I put on there. Terry wanted to bring up on our screen, this is my near map tool that I use. So as you can see, York Drive doesn't align with itself when it crosses Walker.
Right.
And so that is where the hazard is. If we get an emergency call, the house numbers, they would go and hit Walker Street and the street would end unless they knew that they had to go half a block to the east to find the rest of York Drive. If she highlights the notes I put in there, there's 32 notifications if we had to change the name on the south side of Walker. And if you go up top, we should change the name of York Circle as well as York Drive. So that it will be a total of 15 notifications. So there's less notifications. The name Bronco Way would go along with the high school and its mascot and all the new development that they've done in their schoolyard right there with the technology building. New soccer field, new tennis courts are going in. So it's kind of a no-brainer, and why haven't we done it already kind of thing. So,
Typically, Bronco Way would be in front of the school, not behind the school.
well, we don't need to change South Fifth.
I'm just telling you, that's normally if you're. It's true.
I don't want to get nitpicky, but I've seen the horseshoes that they painted on the road to guide you to the high school. The last time I shot a horse, the horseshoe points the other direction of travel when you walk on a horse. And they don't walk like this. They have a set of rear legs too that they walk on. So I don't want to get picked, but they got the horseshoe pointing the wrong way. But at least they ain't letting the luck fall out.
So did you hear back from the superintendent?
Yeah, that and I didn't hear back from the superintendent, but I did hear back from the police captain or chief, used to be captain. So Chief Wheatley responded back and said yes, and I also heard back to dispatch. They said that they believe that it's not too similar and that it will resolve the issue. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this on the agenda for the city council.
Is there any discussion about it? Any concerns any of you have?
That York Circle that's down there,
Yeah,
is that gonna be Bronco Circle? or-
yeah, we'll
Okay,
go with Bronco Circle on that. It is in our code that we updated, that if there's 5 lots or less on a cul-de-sac, and it's connected to another street, it can be named after that.
okay.
And even though if you look at that circle, it looks like there's more than 5 homes, the 2 homes on the end there, they actually face toward York Drive and have the York Drive address. So that rule still applies. That does leave you with 5 homes left on the cul-de-sac that would be changed to Bronco Circle as well.
There was no concern about that on part of the discussion.
No, it just kind of fit in, and I think it would clear up. If we didn't change it, it would cause some other confusion. So you had to drive down Bronco Way and pass York Circle, and then go across Walker to get to York Drive. That's kind of a Ridge Lane and Ridge Street kind of scenario again. So we're fixing this and not trying to make it worse. We're trying to make it all uniform and trying to look for any problems or issues ahead.
Is this something that has to be presented at a hearing?
No, I think, the only time if we think there's any resistance or there's a lot of people that need to be notified, then we should conduct a hearing, and we do have that option, but it's not required. The only time, in fact, you get recommendations, the way we rewrote the code, you get recommendations from the addressing committee, and it's up to you guys to approve it to move on. If we were to change a house number, that actually takes city council approval to change house numbers. We're not changing any of the house numbers, we're just renaming the street.
Requires city council approval then?
It doesn't require city council approval, but we always seek it, and we always put it on their agenda. So in case, if we ever have an appeal on a decision from our commission, it's gonna be appealed to city council anyways. But if we have it on record that they approve the change, then it kind of backs that all up. There's no, no reason to appeal it when the appealing body is in agreement already. So, yeah, we try to keep everybody involved and keep all our bases covered.
Have the residents been contacted about this?
Not yet. That's why we was gonna have this in our work meeting. I wanted to kind of have a name solidified so that by the time we notify the residents or send out them notifications, that we won't have 3 different choices, or we won't have a bunch of input. But they will get notified as soon as, and we'll give them 90 days like we've done on the other changes as well. We'll also change all the addresses so they have an address to change to. That seems to be going pretty smooth for Ridge Street that we changed to Founder Street, and also Little Lawrence Lane to Chapel Drive. That seems to be going pretty smooth. I talked to the postmaster, it was probably a week ago. He needed the verification letters just to keep up his file, but he had got several requests for change of addresses. And in that change of address with the post office, any mail that has the old address will still be changed over to the new address. So even after the 90 days is up, we've officially changed it over, the post office will still help out them residents for a year to the date of the change of address.
And that's something we can talk about.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. And so,
Domino's is gonna have to figure it out there.
They will.
Any other discussion about that? Should we have a motion then to approve it?
I think so.
Okay.
Move to approve Bronco Ways as the official new street name.
I'll second that.
No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move to the next item.
So next on the item, I know we talked about setback measurements before. After review with the mayor, he wanted to add some more language to it. So in the sections that we need to change, a lot of the language is very similar. We measure to the exterior face of the building wall when they've got forms set up for the before they actually pour the foundation. They have the hole dug, have forms set up. That's when an inspection is requested on our building permits to go measure the setbacks. And so it's hard to, before it said that we measure to the nearest point, so that would be the eave. We'd have to go through the plans and guesstimate what the eave is going to be, and the eave can be changed later on if there's issues that they run into in the design. So we're going to go to the exterior face of where the building wall will be. That's pretty easy. That's where the form will be set. And it gives the exceptions in here that you'll be able to still get 2 feet of canopy or 2 feet of eave in there, as long as it says here, the outermost edge, and then that shall still remain 3 feet from the adjacent property. That 3 feet still helps with stormwater runoff off that building, so any stormwater that will come off the roof will land still on their property and not on their neighbor's property. And that helps with the fire code. Usually the fire code requires 10 foot between both buildings. And so we're still keeping that 5 foot for the building face, and we're splitting that 10 foot in half. So not each property owner is any closer than the other property owner. So they still are going to be a whole 5 feet to the face of the building, and we're going to allow 2 feet of the overhang.
Help me understand, it says in the case of side yards, the outermost edge of any such projection shall remain at least 3 feet from the adjacent property line or easement. And then down here a little bit later, you say, in such a case, projections of the exterior face of the building can be no more than 3 feet. Help me understand that.
So in case of the projections are going to be your eaves, your gutters, awnings, canopies for the exterior face of the building.
I just don't see the difference between the 3 feet here and the 3 feet down there.
It's trying to include any kind of projections. So if you look in the 2018 zoning codes that isn't adopted by the state, they've adopted other codes like fire, IRC, IBC, stuff like that, but not any of the zoning. That zoning code is very general, and they're trying to do there. If you would look in there, they would say anything that was not part of the square footage of the home. So if you had an attic and you projected out 2 feet in the eaves,
I get all that.
yeah,
I get all that, but it says, in the case of side yards, it has to be at least 3 feet.
at least 3 feet, yeah.
Okay. And then down here it says, unless such side yard is facing the street on a corner lot, in such case, projections for the exterior face of the building can be no more than.
So that would have to be less than 3 feet based off that wordage,
Yeah.
right?
So,
So I think that's wrong.
well,
I think it's written wrong. is what I'm saying.
Instead of the no more, it should be less than. Is that what
You
you're
follow
saying,
what we're
Vinny?
saying?
yeah, I'm following what you're saying.
But-
You're getting what
but
Benny's
the
throwing
fact that
down?
You've got it at least 3 feet. Why do you have the exception?
Talking
I
smack.
don't understand.
Well, the reason why there's an exception there is because if you have a corner lot in any of our residential zones, we still require an extra roughly 1,000 feet of lot space, because when you come around the corner, they have to have a 30-foot safety triangle on that corner. And so to allow the setback so traffic can see around the corner, we require another 1,000 square feet, and also The street, that is, the setback on the street adjacent is a 20-foot setback and not a 5-foot setback like it would be on the interior lot. So that's the give and take there, is that they still have to have a 30-foot setback on the front, they still have a 20-foot setback on the side, and that pushes that house back into the corner. And so their rear and side setback on a corner lot is only 5 foot. Where an interior lot, their front and rear setback is 30 and 20. But that's kind of the give and take of that corner lot.
All right, so you're taking into account, when you say unless such side yard is facing the street on a corner lot, you're taking into consideration these other setbacks.
These other setbacks.
Okay.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
how you've got that written just baffles me.
Well,
It
let me
doesn't-
grab this
Does
whiteboard.
it make sense?
Yeah, I don't-
Instead of say no, say yes.
I understand what you're saying, Travis,
Okay.
but if you're gonna say it's no more than 3 feet, can be no more than 3 feet, then somewhere in here you've gotta talk about the corner lot, what the differences were. Because the way it's written right now, it's exactly the same.
Yeah,
Say anything about it.
Right.
yeah. So this is kind of the point I'm getting across. So you got a block of houses, and this is the corner lot.
Right.
And then you got the interior lot.
Right.
So this lot can be, so let's use LDR1, for example. This is gonna be 7,000 square feet. This one on the corner has to be 8,000 square feet. Minimum lot frontage is gonna be 70. And then, so on this corner, you're gonna have extra square footage. You're still gonna have a 30-foot setback right here, just like you have over here. But over here, you're gonna have a 20-foot setback to the rear. And so on this corner lot, depending on which way the house faces, and so we're gonna say the house faces this direction, like this. So this is gonna be our front yard at 30. But because this is a corner lot, you're gonna have a side setback to the adjacent street of 20 feet.
Okay.
And so you can actually push this house. You're only gonna have a 5-foot setback to the side and to this rear, right here. So you can actually take this house and push it clear back to here if you wanted to, because that's the give and take of the corner lot.
Okay, that's fine, but what does this say in addition to that?
So it says here, unless each side yard is facing the street on a corner lot. So so it says unless each side yard is facing the corner lot of the street on the corner lot. That gives this 20-foot exception right here.
Okay, you got 20 feet, but then you've got this 3 feet. Where does that fit in?
So the 3 feet right here would include like a 2-foot eve around this house. And so the original part of the code says that we're gonna measure this 20-foot to the exterior face of the house.
Got it. Okay, I understand that, but where does this 3 feet on a corner lot come in?
So where that comes in is on your rear and side setback right here.
Okay, well, how's that different from your interior lot?
So your interior lot, you are only allowed a 5-foot separation or a 5-foot setback on each side right here. And so
But you can hang over 3 feet, up to 3 feet.
you can hang
Hang
over
over 2.
2 feet with a 3-foot exception. So if you were, this is the measurement to the face of the building, and this would be the measurement to the eave of the building. So we're allowing that 2 feet. right
Now,
now.
how is that different from the corner?
That's the same, it's the same,
That's my point.
yeah.
See, so why do you have the additional instruction about a corner lot in here if it's exactly the same as a regular? You're just adding a whole lot of verbiage that's
Yeah.
not,
It's not required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's confusing.
Yeah, That's the difference between the language that I selected and presented to you last month.
You tell the mayor we didn't like it.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
I will reinforce
Tell
that.
them it's confusing, and frankly, the way it's written, that's, the whole business about the corner lot is not necessary. I'm,
Yeah,
I have a question for you. That 70 feet or width of the lot,
Mhm.
it used to be 62 and a half.
Uh,
Raised up to 70.
I know it was the last adoption of dimensional standards was in 2023. I don't know what it was before. And it's less than that on higher density lots. So it does go from 70 to 60 when it gets into MDR1 and HDR1. That's without without a planned unit development.
Okay, so let's just take Old Town Blackfoot, east of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all 25-foot lots.
Mhm.
So now you're saying you have to have 2 lots plus 20 feet of a third lot? Or is this just new subdivision,
Just this new development,
new development?
yeah.
So if somebody were to purchase a bunch of those old lots, you know, say they purchased 10 of them, they've got 250 feet, they have to have at least 70 feet in each one.
If
To
it was
build?
zoned LDR1, yes. Not to build, you'd have to find 70 feet of street frontage, or be able to.
What I'm getting at is now you're splitting lots. Now, are you talking if it's done as a new subdivision or if you're just trying to build?
We will require it as a new subdivision, but we have had, for example, our last hearing, we reduced the frontage for 565 Lincoln Street and lot size because that wasn't taken into consideration when that was rezoned. So that did create a hardship for that lot and that redevelopment of that lot. So we could still do a variance on a case-by-case basis if a certain zone was changed and created a hardship for that lot.
Okay, but what I'm getting at, was somebody owns lots 4 and 5 and the west 20 feet of 6.
Mhm.
You've just split the original plat, big time.
Only if they have to develop it only to the new codes. If they're developing it based off the old ones and getting the variance, they can still build on the 25-foot lot. At least that's the way that I
Yeah,
would interpret that one. Because it was,
Those were your original lots to start with.
exactly, because it was
Therefore, they're
original,
each buildable.
correct.
Why do you have to have a variance if it's a buildable lot from the original plat? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
I would think you'd have to just because the codes are requiring larger lots now. And you're submitting for a new permit now. If you had an old permit that was still valid, probably wouldn't have to. But
I have one other question on this that we were just talking about.
all right.
It says all setback distances shall be measured horizontally from the property line. Should that say horizontally or should it say perpendicular?
It should say horizontally because they're trying to keep with the horizontal projection of the eaves. And that's what they're really describing, is that you're going horizontally flat across the ground. You're saying it needs to be perpendicular to make a 90-degree angle. You can't measure it off in a direction at an angle. And I understand that. The original code and the original intent was to make sure that you were measuring horizontally and not going up a grade. If you had to go up a grade, you want to make sure it's all level as you make that measurement.
okay, also on, if you look at 11.8-2, this is page 59D1. Let me just read this. It's in yellow. Everybody with me?
Okay, yeah.
Top it says 11-8-2 accessory uses. And it says horizontal projections, including roof overhang, eaves, blah, 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 and other architectural projections that do not increase the volume of space enclosed by the building and do not project, may project into the required setback. If they do not project, how can they project?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
Depending on how the bay window's built, it can increase the square footage too.
yeah, that's the, but you can't write a code for everything.
Well, but you included a bay window,
Yeah,
and I can build a bay window that increases my square footage.
you can't, like I said, you can't write a code for everything. I personally didn't like the bay window in there because it didn't follow the language that I originally submitted to you guys. Because I was using the definition out of the 2018 zoning regulations that didn't.
Well, in 2018, people were putting bay windows in.
Yeah.
2024, I don't think they are. But I would take bay window out.
Okay.
but regardless, it says, do not increase the volume of space enclosed in the building and do not project, may project. You see the
Yeah.
problem with the
Yeah,
logic
I
there?
can see
It's
that.
not yours.
Yeah. So,
Because actually all of those project out.
That should
Yeah.
say may project or not.
I think I would just take that, yeah, do not project, and then you're good.
Then we're good.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
You're doing great.
Okay.
Steve and I will give you this mic if you want it.
Oh,
He's working
we'll
on
do that.
He's working on mine over here.
No, but I'd rather not have one.
Okay, did we cause you enough grief over that item?
I think it's enough for you to read that.
All right, so I think we're on to item C.
Yeah.
Let me get that prepared there. You know which one's the new ones?
Yes, we had a board on it.
He doesn't. He's confused.
No, I think they've got an expiration date, I'm just gonna check. I think they said in that drawer too long. Yeah, we'll just go for it. So common spaces.
Right, help us with this one.
So
Apparently, they didn't like our idea of the 20%.
they did like the idea of 20%, they just wanted to elaborate upon that.
Probably the man.
They did maintain the 20%.
Well, they took it down to 10%.
10.
I disagree with that. I got all time to go back and forth on this one.
Alright, so I do see
On B.
on B1, yeah, each planned unit development shall provide permanent common space equal to less than 10% of the gross acreage. Planning and zoning commission may recommend and the city council may require up to 20%. So
Hell,
we kind of did and we didn't make it solid,
Travis,
but we did give it our options.
I'll tell you this right now. If we recommend 20%, the city council is going to override us and do 10%. They don't care what we say. They haven't for years. They're going to do whatever the hell they want. Every time. I disagree. I mean, if they want to split it, take it 15. But I think 10% is going to be, it's not enough common space.
And of course, the developer is gonna go with the low amount.
Exactly.
Those are the one that maximize, yeah.
Well, he's
So-
gonna fight for it.
Pardon?
He's gonna fight for it.
Of
Yeah.
course. And it's in the code now, the way it's written.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we could recommend
Still.
till the cows come home, right?
Yep.
And if they say 10%, then
But that's why I'm saying, if they're set on something else, I still believe that 20% is fair. And it gives those peoples in those areas some usable space.
Right.
I don't think 10% is quite enough. And I would be, personally, I'd be willing to compromise in half, but,
Okay.
but like I said, I can go back and forth on this and keep rejecting it until they get tired of hearing from us.
And then I assume you want to completely reject II or number 2, where a minimum 10% requirement shall not be reduced unless city council finds based on substantial evidence that development provides an exceptional public benefit equal to or greater than the value of the otherwise required common space.
Yep.
You want to completely,
I have another problem with the word substantial, because that is all opinion.
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's, and it goes to the opinion of the city council, because specifically. So substantial evidence, and then it also says provides an exceptional public benefit. So who determines what's exceptional?
Council.
The council will determine. So you guys don't like that one at all either?
Nope.
Okay.
Which one did you just read?
It's BII.
II.
Okay,
The one you didn't like, the substantial one.
yeah, so going down to III, we are, significant natural resources. That problem is significant, that's all opinion.
Well, III is directly related to II because it's giving examples of what significant is. So if you don't like II, then I think we should get rid of III.
Aye, Captain.
It's spelled differently
Because
though.
without the original, you don't need to give examples if you don't have that original.
Okay. Thank you for seeing our way.
Was there any concern about anything else that was here? Over this? I really like the section about the maintenance assurance, making sure that, let's see, the security will remain in effect until the city determines that all required improvements have been completed. And that you can draw upon the security to complete unfinished improvements. That's all really good stuff.
I do like DI, what are not,
What are not eligible.
yeah. So I'm not all negative.
We're trying to say some good words.
Some good things too. Roman numeral number 4.
Can I ask a question that hasn't got anything to do with this, but when we're talking about what they have, do we recommend having streetlights in?
Yes, we do. It's part of the Title 12 subdivision application title. So yeah, we do require street lights. It's left up to the street superintendent on that determination in the table and chart.
Of how many, or if they have to have
If
it.
they have to have them, there's not a standard set in there, but I'm sure he is the material, so he's considered the specific material expert. We don't have a city engineer to say, this is the ASC or whatever standard for street lights, and this is what we'll require. But yeah, it's up to them to determine whether they require street lights.
So the subdivision that, I can never remember the name of it, behind Cooper's, were they required to have streetlights in there?
Cooper's Cove.
The one behind it, Highland Heights, there you go, sorry.
Yeah, but that has to be changed. Keep in mind that name's not, it's already been used.
So Highland Heights is still under judicial review, and the new name that they selected is Spring Meadows, which is a proposed name that no one else has used, so that might go to that name. for that.
Okay, but do they have to have?
No, it wasn't in their preliminary construction plans.
Seriously, for that many homes,
That's what I don't understand. Why do we not recommend it? I
City of
mean,
Idle Falls
not
requires
recommend.
it.
Why don't we have them do it?
I can work on that code and find out what's
Yeah.
engineering.
I think that's a good one.
Thanks for raising that.
Even over on, and, I mean, it's fairly lit, but the one on, just off of Kendallberry Terraces. When he put that in, he was supposed to have streetlights. I remember us saying he had to, and there isn't a streetlight there. Granted, he still has a couple lots that are being built on, but why do we let neighborhoods not be lit up? I don't get it.
Well, I can find that and see where we can insert that into either, probably still go into Title 12 for subdivision applications to make sure it's in there for all new developments. I know that was before the state law changed on impact areas, that was the stumbling block on the impact agreement between the city and the county. So yeah, it is subject to, I mean, you have so many houses that have their own exterior lighting, you know, it's crazy, but if there needs to be a backup because someone didn't like their lights anymore, took them down or turned them off, we still would have to light the streets for our public safety.
Well, that's what I think, because
Shouldn't rely on the homeowners to light the streets.
Yeah. Well, I know we have, I can't quote it off the top of my head. I know there is a street light requirement spelled out in our commercial parking lots.
Yeah,
So I'll use that as a reference, or we'll look at Idaho Falls and see how they write their code. Say so many lumens per so many square feet
Mhm.
or square acres.
however, yeah,
It would be something I'd have to research and bring back to you.
that'd be fantastic,
So
Travis.
it helps keep you well employed.
Does this apply downtown also?
So if I
It's
put it,
like the streetlights they took down and then put back up again. They either have plastic glass around the bulbs or something, but they are so dim. I don't know if it's like the old headlights that turn yellow.
Mhm.
If you look at some of those,
yeah, I think they're horrible.
they're just yellow. They're pretty dim.
I know we get into some street light designs that are all LED now, and some are really bright, and they have several different types of light now instead of just one incandescent. But I know they tried to rectify all the street lights all from that grant that they've been rebuilding the streets on, to make them all look the same as they do.
But they didn't change the lenses. They're the old ones that have been up there for 25 years. And they're yellow.
And we're trying to have growth. And you want to bring people downtown for many other things, you know, like night festivals or little whatever. You can't see to walk downtown.
Okay.
I mean, I just think we need to look at that a whole
And when
bunch.
daylight savings is over, it's gonna be dark at 5 o'clock.
Thank
You need some light down there.
Well, I can bring that up with the street superintendent.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be.
Yeah, he'll be happy.
That's okay.
But I can look
You can
into.
come to our meeting and talk to us.
One thing you can do without, just look at the lighting.
Yeah, lighting requirement.
So this, looking back at this right here on the comment space, are there any other comments about that, changes you would suggest?
What could I saw?
On the Cape, do you check to make sure that their playground stuff is up to snuff or?
That is a new addition. That wasn't in our code before. And we've had developers do, in their common spaces for their HOA, do playground equipment and not be very impressed with it. But that is the only language that I can find that meets what the standard the city has to meet. So, and it kind of falls in line if we ever required a subdivision to dedicate a park to the city and we was going to accept it, that would follow that up to meet that engineering requirement. So they could dedicate it to the city and without the city having the expense to going through tearing out cheap equipment that doesn't meet the standards that we already have to meet, like a Jensen screw and other costs.
Who reviews those submittals?
That would be me. I'd be reviewing that because that would be, as you can see, that language is in 12.7.2. Title 12 is subdivision applications.
Okay.
And I think the other section that was in,
I saw that.
2 parts, I just don't have the title. Yeah, I think I didn't make the cut, but I think it's still all in Title 12
Okay.
as well.
Just curious.
Yeah, that
I
was
think that's what you asked, is who reviewed it.
Okay, and then one other thing that we have on there is the very last page, H, which is the one statement. I imagine everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, so that reverts to the beginning of the requirement. And that's probably the title I was looking for, that Title 11. Title 11 is zoning requirements, so that'll be under review as well as the subdivision application. What's the struck out language is, you guys said that you didn't like that language because it was all opinion. If you look at the struck out language, it says, so if you was to take out, I highlighted a little too much. So the original language would have read, open space, the location of open space shall, and then it would go on and say, be appropriate to the development and shall be of such shape and area to be usable and convenient to the residents of the development. It's very flowerful language, but
Vague at best.
no concrete there, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I struck that out and referred it back to this title. And in that title, that's where the requirement for the playground, play equipment shall comply with the current public playground safety handbook produced by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and Architectural Technical Standards or ATS.
I have a question. Okay, so it complies today with the 30 years from now, the HOA is dissolved. They don't want to maintain the park anymore, they want to dedicate it to the city. We now have new rules and regulations that no longer applies.
Well, we can't project on how strict the rules are going to be in the future. We can only do it
Do you see my
for,
point?
yeah, I see your point. But it's just like electrical code, right? Electrical code becomes more stringent or more product comes out in the future. And when you have a new development, or if you want to upgrade that building or remodel that building, you have to meet that code at the time of the remodel. So if a HOA went defunct and the code become more stringent, we can't expect that. We don't know how more stringent it's going to be or
So
what's.
in other words, you're saying the city may not accept the park
I'm just-
unless they
Yeah,
spend a bunch of money
or,
to bring it up to code.
yeah, what I'm saying is we're trying to make it to be at code when it's originally developed. And hopefully that code doesn't become so stringent that we would have to tear it out to take it over or have it dedicated to the city.
Problem is we can't anticipate how
Yeah.
much money.
I realize that,
We can't anticipate the changes.
but I'm just saying, you're saying we have to do this. And doing this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to apply, so how can you?
Well, doing this will make sure it complies at that moment in time. I did not put a date or specify what year of code. I said the most.
Should you have something else in there though?
Well, I tried to cover that by saying,
who would be responsible for the upgrade? Is that the taxpayer's responsibility, or is that the now defunct homeowners association? Or who's responsible to pay the upgrade?
If the homeowners association is defunct, they're
Exactly.
not gonna have the money to do it, so
Exactly.
the property's gonna default to the city.
Well, not necessarily. If they choose to give it to the city, but if they just let it go to weeds, then what?
Same
County
as,
takes it on a tax deed because no taxes are paid, and then you still don't clean up the problem because it's not the taxpayer's responsibility of Riverside
Mhm.
to pay to bring that playground up to code.
Or they, so
that's a lot of what ifs.
that's
Exactly.
still a lot of what ifs.
Exactly, so unless you know who's gonna be responsible to bring it up to code.
Well, we can only worry about the present, and that's why I wrote this, where it says play equipment shall comply with the current public playground safety handbook. Whatever that current is. I can't predict the future. I can't say must be updated every 10 years to the current handbook. I can only say when it's originally built and developed, that's you gotta meet the current handbook. That's the best I can write. I can't project in the future. Electrical, I use electrical code, for example. Fire code is just as crazy.
So this is all new language
Everything that you see underlined and highlighted is new language.
proposed. So this Spring Meadows, whatever it is, the plat that they've got laid out for their apartments and stuff,
So.
will not qualify for
will
this
not
10%.
qualify. The only time that this could qualify is if for some reason we had to require them to reapply. And so you go by the application date.
Okay.
As soon as we get this passed or from the city council and passed, every application date after it was adopted into ordinance on that day has to follow this code.
Okay.
But we can't retro date it.
Darn.
If a subdivision, maybe Spring Meadow, was to change their plan and do a little bit of different stuff,
Mhm.
would they have to get would they have to come in front of us again?
Only if they had to reapply. Now, if they had significant changes and so even I can't authorize changes more than 25% by any matrix. So if they had significant changes, we would probably require them to reapply if that was considered significant enough. And we would probably follow the lead of the DEQ because that's written in all their acceptance letters. If there's significant changes, then they have to reapply. I know that's where they're at in their application process. They do have their project approved. We do not have like a stay-up procedure to stop them from progressing. So they do have a signed will serve letter, so they can go apply with the DEQ to get their approval. Currently, after that DEQ approval comes back, suggestions in that and any suggestions or requirements that was in the staff report will all be detailed into the development agreement. And it takes city council approval for that development agreement. And then once that is signed, it will be notarized and recorded with the county. It'll have an expiration date of 1 year. So if their development doesn't kick off within 1 year, as an expiration date, we rewrite it or we reevaluate it. The DEQ approval expires in a year as well, and so is our will serve letter. So at least they have to back up to that step. We would reissue the will serve letter, we would have them reapply with DEQ, and we would reevaluate based off of them comments and what was in the staff report to redraft the development agreement. And we would do that if they come back to us and say, oh, we want a phasing plan. And we would say, well, if you want a phasing plan, we still require the the improvements to be put in first. So the improvements doesn't depend on the success of the project. And so we would require at least the improvements that would be required to have in place for the COs to be issued for them to sell and for people to be living in.
For the whole property?
For the whole property.
And if they sell the property,
Under a PUD, they're required to maintain sole ownership until the development agreement is fulfilled. And then they can start selling pieces of property, but not until then. And the card that we hold is that we hold the certificates of occupancy until the development agreement is completed. That's what is written into our development agreement for our card to hold, and we reserve that right to withhold any COs.
All right, any further discussion on these items? And are there any other items we need to talk about?
All
All right,
I move we close the meeting.
I love second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks,
Travis, what's the status on Belmar?
Millmore, we did a walkthrough.